Welcome to TRADEREP. This is Short Hammer. It is the 26th of June 2019, and we're looking at ANTM. Now, ANTM is a ticket that we're watching for more upside. It was holding these two trend lines. It had broken above a small channel that it was in and held the back test of this downtrend that, let me zoom out a little bit so we can see all this. Actually, you need to drag this down. Here we go. And we could zoom back in. From downtrend from February, we broke above it here, back tested, held, and really started to push to the upside. Now, going into the 25th, ANTM had a presentation at the BMO Health Conference, and I did believe that would be a catalyst to keep us going to the upside. But on Monday, we had a counter catalyst, and that counter catalyst was the president made a statement about putting out an executive order to create more transparency in I think it's like medical pricing or medical or healthcare pricing. So if we remember the last time, I believe it was Senator Bernie Sanders made a statement like that, that's when we had this drop. It was the beginning of April. And we had this drop on a lot of healthcare tickers that pushed them down to these lows. And that statement that was made by Bernie Sanders it wasn't a policy decision. It was just a statement about him feeling that there needed to be legislation to regulate healthcare pricing and that there would be greater transparency. The president's executive order is slightly stronger than that, but just I did not think that it would totally tank ANTM or push ANTM down. We did have a back test of the trend here on the 24th, and it held. And right into the close, we pushed up to back into the 290.53 area. And my statement was that the trend was intact. It was. But we needed to get over this 292 area, and that's what I was waiting for. Let's get over this 292. I jumped in early, and this downward movement did shake me out of my position. I made a few little scalp plays to try to recover some of that, but I did expect more upside here. And what I should have done was to wait. The trend did hold, but wait for a break above my supply-demand zone, above this 292. That's what I should have waited for. That was a better entry to take this into the next level rather than getting in on the test of the trend. I could have scalped off the test of the trend, but based on the change in news, because that's news, that's changed since I was looking at this uptrend on ANTM. Based on the news, on the pullback, which was my entry, any pullback into the trend line, this one or the secondary trend line, was a sign for me to go long. I was already green on that pullback in my entry when we went up to 290 because I got in the 286s also. I re-entered. And so this was a clear I could have taken profits below here, but you definitely wait for it to go above the supply demand zone and then wait for the next leg, and also a close above this 294.83 is something you could also wait for. But I would have been comfortable above 292.85, being above that, and just ride this trend into the 300s. That was my expectation, but that's not what we got. So on Tuesday, the 25th, we had a push up and a back test of the supply-demand zone and also this trend line. We couldn't break through, and we're moving to the downside. Now, if we hold 283, we still have the potential to regain the trend, but right now the momentum has gone out of this play as far as this run up. So let's just keep an eye on this to see what happens if we see more downside on this, if we're headed down to the 278, so we're headed to retest this downtrend here, just to see what happens on this play. But that's what happened with our ANTM expectation of continuation to the upside. The potential catalyst that I was expecting from the BMO conference was just squashed based on what we heard on the 24th about executive order healthcare pricing. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. We do have earnings coming up in about a month, but that is what happened with our ANTM setup and ANTM play. Now, if we look at the lower time frame, leave this daily chart, we can see that right near the close is where we had this bounce right off the monthly pivot here, and we regained and made a push right into the close into the 290s. Now this was on Monday, I believe, the 24th. So we had this selling, then we had this push up. Then on Tuesday, we had an initial push up above the main intraday pivot, this yellow dash line, into the weekly pivot, and then after that we just had selling through the monthly and bouncing on this trend, but just retesting, unable to regain this 280, 887 area, unable to get back above that and springboard and curving to the downside. So I would watch today to see if we break below 284, and be careful with ANTM because it can sell and then regain really quickly on you. And also the options are spready, and the just the price itself or the underlying can also be a little bit spready. But it's still interesting to me. I'm going to be watching this to see what we do around the 283s if we break under, and if we draw down and test that downtrend, what happens at that point if we break back below that downtrend. So keeping an eye on it, I'll be stalking it, and I'll see where this one goes.